20, 10, 5. Torrey Horton back to the end zone.
48-yard play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Down so far, a little bit of a high snap. Genty right up the middle. Genty has room. Ashton Genty, give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to pin it in. Ramos, it does. Ramos stays up. The Suns offense 4-3 wins. Incredible effort for Ramos.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We are excited to bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke, and I'm joined by my co-host, Justice. Well, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. And don't forget, the G5 Hive merchandise source is now live. The link is in the YouTube video comments as well as pinned on our X page. There at the bottom of the screen. If
here we go.
Find it.
There we go.
All right. It is right there.
Yeah, that's the best way to support us. Number one, like if you're watching right now, if you're on YouTube, hit that like button. Like the more likes we can get, the more the algorithm likes it, the more faces we can get in front of. If you're not a subscriber yet on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're pretty close to 500. I think we're sitting at like 475. So if you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And lastly, if you want some sweet merchandise, visit the link at the bottom, buy some merchandise. And that's the best way you can support the work we're doing.
And we've got some people watching live. Make sure you go out, you retweet, give us a like. Billy Tuesday, welcome each and every week. Billy Tuesday's here. I mean, he's practically, he's original OG G5 Hive guy.
Absolutely.
Say
one. I think him and Brett will have to battle it out in a steel cage match to see who the number one fan is, but Billy and Brett, two of our biggest fans, and we definitely appreciate the support.
All right, well, let's get into our G5 Hive Players of the Week for Week 10, 2024. The freshman offensive player of the week is running back Ahmad Hardy, Louisiana Monroe. This is Ahmad's 4th time this season for freshman Offensive Player of the Week. Ahmad had his biggest output yet in 2024 season with 25 rushes for 207 yards and a touchdown in Week 10. Congrats, Ahmad.
All right, our freshman Defensive Player of the Week is CJ Hurd, safety from Florida Atlantic. This is CJ's 3rd time this season for freshman Defensive Player of the Week. CJ, whose nickname is the Sea Snake, had 13 tackles, 7 solos to lead the Owls defense in Week 10. Congratulations, CJ.
All right. My offensive player of the week is none other than quarterback Jalen Kitna at a UAB. Kitna had only had 7 incompletions in Week 10. He went 25 for 32 for 404 yards and 6 touchdowns. He added 5 rushes for 15 yards on the ground. He was a key cog in the 59-21 win over Tulsa. This was UAB's first conference win of the season, too. Kitna has been on a tear since he took over at the helm for the injured Jacob Zeno. Congratulations, Jalen.
For my offensive player of the week, it's wide receiver Eric Rivers, Florida International. Eric had a huge game this week, setting the FIU single-game receiving record. He caught 11 balls on 14 targets for 295 yards and 3 touchdowns to lead the Panthers to victory over New Mexico State in Week 10. Congrats, Eric. Huge performance. My defensive player of the week. My defensive player of the week is edge Elijah Robinson from Hawaii. Elijah has been having a strong season for the Rainbow Warriors this year. This past week, he had 5 tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, and 3 tackles for a loss. He was a big part of the Week 10 victory over Fresno State. Congratulations, Elijah.
All right. And my defensive player of the week is edge Mike Green out of Marshall. Mike had 9 tackles, 4 of which were solo, 2.5 tackles for losses. He added 2 sacks on top of it. This was a back and forth type game with solid defense being played by both teams. And it really felt like Mike took over there in crunch time in the second to last and third to last drives with some key plays in that game. Mike helped propel the Thundering Herd to a 28-23 win over Louisiana Monroe. The win moves Marshall to 3-1 in conference play and second in the Sun Belt East, a half game behind Georgia Southern. Congratulations, Mike. All right, Justice. It's what the Swarm needs to know. Our news and notes for this week.
All right. First up, a little conference realignment once again. Never-ending story. Now this time it's out the Mountain West. The Grand Canyon joins the Mountain West as a non-football member. They do not have a football team. They do have a pretty good basketball team, though. The Mountain West is still seeking a football-only member. And as we've talked about, I think maybe last week or the week before, they are still looking at Northern Illinois and Toledo, and they have reportedly had discussions with both of them. Again, doesn't make a lot of sense to me to join as a football-only member, but money talks, I guess. I'd be shocked if they joined as football only. I would think if they're going to come, I would think they would say, hey, it has to be all sports, or at least all sports that the Mountain West offers. Be very shocked if Northern Illinois or Toledo left the MAC to only become a football-only member in the Mountain West. But hey, strange things happen. Tulane running back Mekhi Hughes has gone over 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. He is only the third Toledo running back in history to do that, which is a little surprising to me. He joins Eddie Price and Mewelde Moore as number 3 in Tulane history to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Utah State wide receiver Jalen Royals, as we talked about him last week, he has that injury. It's possible he could come back towards the end of the season, but he was invited to the Shrine Bowl this week, so congratulations, Jalen. Middle Tennessee running back Frank Peasant announced that he is entering the transfer portal. I'm assuming that's just getting in early, right? The portal doesn't officially open until December, but guys are getting their names out there, announcing their intentions for next year. Georgia Southern has a new athletic director in Chris Davis. He was previously the athletic department's chief operating officer, and before that, he was at Auburn, Nebraska, and Marshall. With this past week's win, Sam Houston head coach Casey Keeler moves into second place all time in the program in program history with 95 wins. Former Air Force running back John Lee Eldridge III is trying out for the Team USA bobsled team. That's pretty cool. Wyoming running back Harrison Whaley made his return this week from preseason injury. He had knee surgery right before the season. He made his return, and boy, did he return in a big way. Had 170 yards and a touchdown versus New Mexico. And then this last piece of news just came out today. James Madison will pay Washington State $200,000 to play at Bridgeforth Stadium next season, according to a JMU spokesperson. The Dukes are supposed to pay Utah State $300,000, but that contract was canceled. So they signed Washington State for $200,000. It seems like a lot of money to get your butt kicked. we'll see what happens. I guess that's why they play the game. But man, Washington State looks pretty good this year. I think their only loss is to Boise State, right? I believe so.
I don't know. I guess I'm just a little bit confused as to like I don't know what got canceled in the contract, if it was like before the whole realignment and them going to the Pac 12, but like Washington State's already there, and like I get that you don't have to like. So I'm just trying to figure out like why you would want to play Washington State over Utah State if they're both Pac-12. I get like you
My
say
guess is Utah State canceled it. That would be my guess.
because now that you kind of look at this playoff situation, and this wasn't a great week for the group of five with some teams losing, and Memphis losing to UTSA and Navy dropping out. Like it just seems like you would want to like just have cakewalk matchups so you can be undefeated now, and not like as before when you're trying to like, all right, how many, like when you look at Tulane, and we talked about them at the beginning of the season, and they played Oklahoma, and like, oh, if they could pull this one out, or like Memphis, they go and they beat Florida State, which now Florida State's not the team that we thought they were, and Oklahoma is probably not the team that we thought they were, but now like Tulane's loss to Oklahoma kind of like seems worse now in a sense,
Yeah.
but it's like I wonder how these G5 teams make that switch, or how quick they make that switch, and instead of doing like we've heard the P4, it's like, hey, we shouldn't be doing these games with the G5 because we could maybe lose. Almost look at it from the G5 perspective, like why would we want to play them and have a chance to lose or even a chance to win? Because it doesn't do anything except for like give us an opportunity to lose, I guess. Let's just schedule easier games, try to win our conference, go undefeated, and then get our bid.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of times the G5 play these games because they need the money, right? That's and generally speaking, that's what it's about. They need the money, and that's why they play these games.
But then the P4, if they're not going to come play the G5, well then that's got to be, I think, that move is like, okay, we'll stop trying to get other P4s. I know, we need the money, but then
Yeah,
playoff.
it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, because like UNLV, they beat a couple P4s early, and they didn't really get a lot. It didn't seem to get a lot of traction from that. They ended up losing to Syracuse, and then lost to Boise State as well. I wish they would have beat Syracuse because I would have liked to seen what would have happened after that. Like, would they have gotten any respect? Would they? But then they lose to Boise. Would they have voted them right back out of the top 25? I don't know.
I mean,
it's a double-edged sword.
At this point, like, let's adopt from the G5. Let's adopt Indiana. Indiana's not getting the recognition that they deserve in the top 25.
Yeah, Indiana really hasn't played anybody of that I would consider good yet. But I mean, they're winning the games in front of them. That's all you can do. They're kind of Indiana's this year's version of Florida State, I guess. Yeah. But Florida State did make it to the top 4 before they got screwed at the end.
So, anyways,
but they do. Doesn't Indiana have a game with Ohio State coming up?
I don't know if they end up getting to dodge them. I'll look that up.
I think Indiana does have a game with Ohio State, so I guess you'll be able to see how
they
good.
They have Michigan this weekend, and then it looks like a bye week, and then Ohio State.
Yeah, so that'll be that. That should be one of the. That's probably the last premier game, I guess, for the Big Ten.
I don't even know why I had to look that up. Billy Tuesday's in the chat. He could.
Yeah, I just thought of that. We should have just asked him. All right, let's get over to some injury news. UTEP quarterback Skylar Locklear did not clear concussion protocol prior to the Middle Tennessee game this week. Hopefully he is ready for this week. Texas State quarterback Jordan McLeod got injured in their game against Louisiana. Looked like an ankle or knee. It was a leg injury. He was back on the sidelines, but you could tell he was limping a little bit. My guess is we haven't heard anything official, but my guess is he will be ready to play this week. Army, surprise. Army announces right before the game, quarterback Bryson Daly is not available. You know, there's stuff floating around on X. So they had a foot injury, so they had surgery. Obviously, he missed this past week. Doesn't sound like he's going to be ready to play this coming week. Which is kind of a bummer because it's a pretty big game. We'll get to it here shortly. It's a pretty big game with North Texas. But hopefully Bryson can get healed and we'll be ready to go Saturday. But doesn't look likely like that will happen. South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez threw a late interception in the game against Georgia Southern. He got hit, suffered a concussion, and Bishop Davenport had to come in and finish the game for him. There was a news report earlier today on that Gio Lopez situation. You want to talk about that a little bit, Luke?
Yeah, so it looked like he got hit early, and then like 2-3 plays later, threw the interceptions, and then doctors didn't clear him to come back into the game. So Davenport finished it, but it seems like reports are trending in the positive direction for Gio Lopez to be out there come this next week. So if you're worried about him,
I think they have a bye this week, so he's got a little extra time to get ready.
Yep, that's right. Bye this week. But so if you're worried about him, going forward, it seems like things are trending up for Gio.
Fresno State running back Malik Sherrod missed another game. As we said, I don't know, was it last week?
Last week, yep.
It looks like Sherrod's probably going to redshirt this season. He still has his red shirt available. He's already played in 4 games, so that means he would, if he's going to use his red shirt, he can't play again unless they make the conference championship game. Not likely that they're going to do that, but he could play in the conference championship game or in a bowl game and still preserve that red shirt. New Mexico wide receiver Luke Wysong, as we mentioned last week, he was banged up. He did dress for the game against Wyoming, but he ultimately did not play. They have a short week this week with San Diego State on Friday. I would take the fact that he dressed was positive, right? And I would think it's probably likely that he would play this coming week.
It seemed like it was a pain tolerance. See what he could and couldn't do there in that game. But he must have a high pain tolerance. Just not enough to get out there in this week. He was out there warming up, so I think he was close.
Temple wide receiver Dante Wright did not play, but they have a bye this week, so look for him to be back after the bye. UTSA wide receiver Devin McEwen did not play this week. He's been out for a few weeks. It seems like should be getting close to when we see him, but there's been no official word yet.
Go back to the Dante Wright news. They had a bye last week.
Okay, so then
so he should be. I think we'll see him. I think he missed the game before the bye, had the bye, and I think we see him give it a go this week.
Memphis wide receiver Demir Blakumsa. This was probably, I saw it on Twitter or X. I'm sure it was all over. I'm sure it was on SportsCenter too. But he was celebrating a touchdown and he injured himself.
Did not look
good. It didn't look good. It didn't look good on the replay. But however, he was able to come back in the game. So our assumption is that whatever it wasn't serious. But it definitely did not look. It looked like he really messed himself up pretty good if you watch the touchdown celebration. But he was able to come back. So the expectation is that he will play. Middle Tennessee tight end Holden Willis did not play in week 10. Believe he's in concussion protocol. Is that right?
Yep.
I think they have a bye this week, so hopefully,
Nope, they play Saturday. So he was in concussion protocol last.
so he's missed 2 weeks. So then we'll see him in week 11.
So I guess it would be
This
So
week in
he-
week 11.
So he got hurt. What was it? Week 9. I'm trying to remember all the weeks now. He got
hurt in week 9. He missed week 10,
10.
and then
So
this
then-
week would be week 11.
Yep. My bad.
So
I think I wrote the wrong number.
so he should be back this week.
Hopefully. Yep.
Wyoming tight end John Michael Gillenborg was banged up in their contest versus New Mexico. Central Michigan, Wyoming does have a bye this week, so hopefully he's back in 2 weeks. Central Michigan quarterback Burt Emanuel Jr., it was announced in the press conference that he is doubtful to return this season due to an injury he suffered versus Eastern Michigan. So that leaves, I believe, redshirt freshman Tyler Jefferson as the quarterback. And I'm assuming his backup is true freshman Jaden Glasser. I don't know that, but they've lost 2 quarterbacks now with Joe Labus and Burt Emanuel Jr. So it's Tyler Jefferson the rest of the way. Maybe at some point we'll see true freshman Jaden Glasser. My guess is they're trying to redshirt him, so it's definitely not going to be until there's 4 games left, I would assume. All right, let's get on to our the top 25. So we got 2 teams from the G5 and the AP top 25. Both of the teams moved up this week. We got Boise State with their win over San Diego State. They move up 3 spots to number 12. And Army also moves up 3 spots after their win over Air Force to number 18. And again, we talked about it for a couple weeks now. If Army and Boise State can win out, and that's a big if for Army, especially without Bryson Daly. They got North Texas this week, Notre Dame coming up.
Yep, it's gonna be hard.
They're going to need Bryson Daly, but if they can win out, and BYU loses a game, there's a strong possibility. I mean, I would be shocked. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say I'd be shocked because I think a lot of shenanigans would go on. But in reality, if both Boise State and Army win out and BYU loses a game, in my mind, those 2 teams should be ranked higher than whoever the Big 12 champion is. And that means those 2 teams would get a bye. Or one of those, no, they both would get a bye, right? The top 4 get a bye, I believe. So yeah, be interesting. It'll be interesting if they both go undefeated. It's going to be a hard road for Army, especially against Notre Dame, and especially if they don't get Bryson Daly back.
And I don't watch ESPN a whole bunch. Honestly, I just watch college football, a little bit NFL, and then whatever cartoons my kids want to watch. But I think tomorrow night, or if you're listening to this on Tuesday, later tonight, I think ESPN is releasing the playoff.
Yes.
Rankings.
Be interesting to see where they have Boise State and Army ranked, right? Because my gut tells me, I don't know. Again, like we saw what happened with Florida State last year, and so but like if they were purposely trying to avoid having 2 G5s in the top in the above the Big 12, then I would say that they're going to have Army pretty low.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen, Justice? Let's put on our tinfoil hat. Let's put it on. it on right now. This is what happens. Release comes out, and they're talking about the representative for the G5. You know who it's going to be? Washington
Boise.
State. They're going to say it's Washington State. They're going to say, hey, the
Well,
Washington
no,
State's
it can't be.
G5.
It can't be. Well, so
Nope.
it can't be. It can't be. They can't be because they have to
I'm
be.
joking. I'm joking. It's the
okay.
tinfoil hat. I'm making fun of Washington State and Oregon State, saying that they're not a part of the G5 until, like, hey, it benefits us. So now we're going to take this playoff spot because it was a joke. It was a joke. That's what's going to happen. You talked about the shenanigans, and that made me think, I'm like, that would be something. That would be something.
Well, that would be crazy because, see, technically the way it is, it's the top 5 conference champions, right? So that doesn't explicitly say there's a spot for the G5, but obviously there is when there's only 4 power conferences. And the Pac-12 is not a, quote, official conference right now because they don't have 8 members. So it can't be Washington State or Oregon State could get in as an at-large, but they can't get in as one of the 5 automatic qualifiers. But yeah, I think, you know, if the committee was doing some, quote, pre-planning, they could have Army fairly low just so that in the event that BYU loses, so that both Boise State and Army don't jump the Big 12. Yeah, Robert, yes, Washington State did lose to Boise State. But I believe that is their only loss on the year. So all right, well, let's get to the poll that matters, man. The Hero Sports G5 Top 25 poll. If you're watching us on YouTube or Twitter, you see it on the screen here. This is through week 11. We are a voter in this poll. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I want to say there's 15, 20-ish voters in this G5 Top 25 poll. I would tell you it's probably the most comprehensive G5 Top 25 poll that there is. Number 1, Boise State. Number 2, Army. 3, Tulane. 4, UNLV. 5, Louisiana. 6, Western Kentucky. 7, Navy. 8, Memphis. 9, JMU. 10, Sam Houston. 11, Georgia Southern. 12, Jacksonville State. 13, North Texas. 14, Marshall. 15, Colorado State. 16, Bowling Green. 17, Liberty, who's lost 2 games in a row now. 18, Toledo. 19, Fresno State. Number 20, UConn, tied with Western Michigan for 20. 22, UL Monroe. 23, Miami. 24, San Jose State. And coming in at 25 are the Texas State Bobcats.
So where we had kind of the biggest differences is we have Bowling Green at number 7, while here in the consensus they are number 16. I know Bowling Green has a date with Central Michigan this week, so I would assume maybe we'll be a week ahead. Maybe Bowling Green will shoot up the board, but that is probably our biggest difference. Our top 10 in general is pretty similar. The only team that's in the consensus top 10 that's not in ours is JMU. We have them at 11. Consensus they're at 9, so like we're close. Georgia Southern, 17 for us. Here they are number 11. Miami of Ohio we had at 13, and they're 23rd in the poll. So I'd say Bowling Green and Miami of Ohio probably our biggest differences. We have Texas State at 19, and they're obviously here at 25. So maybe we are the people that are helping hold Texas State into the top 25. Maybe that's what's going on here. And then we have a couple teams that are not in the consensus poll, top 25 poll. We have Buffalo at number 25 and Ohio Bobcats at 24. So Those were probably the biggest differences. Now, if we get to our undefeated teams, through 11 weeks, only one undefeated team is left in the G5, and that is Army Black Knights. Like we said many times, we've got North Texas this week. Then I don't know if it's a bye and then Notre Dame, or if it's Notre Dame right after North Texas. But
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either.
So I'll look it up real quick.
While he's looking that up, we do have one winless team through 10 weeks. That's the Kent State Golden Flashes. They play Ohio on Wednesday. They are the only winless team in the G5, and their current losing streak is 17. They were on a bye this past week.
So Army's got North Texas, a bye, and then Notre Dame.
So hopefully they can get Bryson. They don't have Bryson Daly back this week. Hopefully that bye will help them get Bryson Daly back for the game against Notre Dame. Is the game at Army or Notre Dame, or is it neutral field? Does it say?
It's. I'll look it up. It says at Notre Dame. I just don't know. I think it's at Notre Dame. It says at Notre Dame. I don't know if it's at a neutral field, but I would say it's at Notre Dame. But going back to Kent State being winless, I don't know for certain, but I believe I'm like 95% sure that they are the only team in FBS that does not have a win.
Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah, I think I don't know 100%, but I think you're right in that statement.
Our G5 bowl count currently now up to 14 G5 teams that are eligible for bowls. We've got Army Black Knights, Navy Midshipmen, Memphis Tigers, Tulane Green Wave, the UNLV Rebels, Louisiana Raging Cajuns, Sam Houston Bearcats, Boise State Broncos, James Madison Dukes, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, Toledo Rockets, Colorado State Rams, the Yukon Huskies, and Georgia Southern Eagles. Colorado State Rams getting back to being bowl eligible. That's big. Big for them. And they've got a schedule that they could sneak into the Mountain West Championship, which, if I'm remembering correctly, I said
they
would be there against.
But they still have UNLV and Boise State left to play. But they're tied for first in the Mountain West right now.
And yeah, if they handle business, or even just lose to Boise, then they would beat UNLV. They could end up there. All right, that's going to do it for the show this week. Come back to join us next week as we discuss what happened in Week 11, as well as look forward to Week 12 of the 2024 season. And as always, bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a retweet, a like, and a follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and review. Thank you all for your support. Until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.
First